died on the waters of Loch Ness, fighting as always to win new glories for Britain. The shrill whine of his jet engines told that another attempt would be made on the world's water speed record. Cobb took the Crusader along the measured mile again, faster and faster until he was traveling at 240 miles an hour. And then...
The pursuit of greatness often inspires incredible feats, but when ambition meets danger, the results can be devastating. From daredevils chasing glory to adventurers testing human limits, some records come at a tragic cost. This list explores 15 of the most disturbing deaths of individuals attempting bizarre world records, revealing the high stakes of these pursuits and the thin line between triumph and tragedy. Some records simply not worth the risk. Oh! Buried alive, Janaka Basnayake. Janaka Basnayake, a 24-year-old Sri Lankan man, dreamed of etching his name in the annals of record-breaking history. In 2012, he attempted a daring feat that many would consider not just extreme, but downright perilous: the longest time buried alive. The attempt took place in a 10-foot deep trench, covered with soil and secured with minimal airflow, a setup that offered little room for error. For this record, Basnayake reportedly prepared by practicing breath control and testing shorter durations in similar conditions. Onlookers, including friends and family, observed the burial, confident in his ability to emerge victorious. However, tragedy struck when, after being unearthed, 7.5 hours later, Basnayake was found unresponsive. Medical responders confirmed that he had passed away, likely due to a combination of oxygen deprivation and extreme environmental conditions underground. This tragic case highlights the inherent risks of stunts that push human endurance to unnatural limits. While the allure of breaking records like longest time buried alive might captivate thrill seekers, the consequences of misjudging physical and environmental factors can be fatal. The human body, designed for movement and interaction with its environment, is ill-equipped to survive prolonged periods in confined, oxygen-deprived spaces. Additionally, factors like soil pressure, humidity, and heat can exacerbate the physical strain, causing organ failure or cardiac arrest. Speed gone wrong, Lowell Bales. The story of Lowell Bales, an American air race pilot, serves as a grim reminder of the dangers of pushing the boundaries of aviation technology. In 1931, Bales aimed to set a new landplane speed record, piloting the notoriously difficult-to-control GB Model Z. Designed for maximum speed, this aircraft featured a short fuselage and the oversized engine, prioritizing performance over stability.
The engine sounds so great with those stacks. The engine sounds so great with those individual stacks. Those earplugs are so good.
Oh yeah, no, that would be a big...
The other day when I was running it up out here, everybody was, rolling on the ground, and to me it was like nothing.
The record attempt took place in Detroit during a public event that drew eager spectators. Bales achieved breathtaking speeds of nearly 300 miles per hour, but as he approached his final pass, disaster struck. The aircraft's fuel cap, a critical component, dislodged mid-flight, causing a sudden loss of balance. Witnesses described the plane veering uncontrollably before crashing in a catastrophic explosion. Bales was killed instantly, his dreams of record-breaking glory ending in a fiery wreck. Bales's death underscores the dangers of early aviation engineering, where innovation often outpaced safety considerations. The GB Model Z, while revolutionary for its time, had a reputation for being unforgiving to pilots. The aircraft's design prioritized speed over stability, meaning even a minor malfunction could prove fatal. Bales, despite his skill, became a victim of this precarious balance. This tragedy also reflects the high stakes of setting records during aviation's golden age. Pilots like Bales were celebrated as heroes, willing to risk their lives in pursuit of progress, yet their sacrifices often came at a staggering cost. Bales's death spurred discussions about safety standards in aircraft design, eventually influencing stricter regulations in the aviation industry. Motorcycle madness, Javed Pelizbanian. Javad Palisbanian, an Iranian stuntman, had a vision of glory that combined audacity with spectacle. In 2005, during a televised event, he set out to achieve a world record by jumping over 22 buses on his motorcycle, a feat that had never been accomplished in Iran. For Palisbanian, the event symbolized not only a personal triumph, but also a chance to inspire his nation. However, this ambitious attempt ended in catastrophe. The setup was dramatic, rows of buses lined up end to end, with a steep ramp positioned at one end and a landing ramp at the other. Palisbanian revved his engine, the crowd cheering wildly as he raced toward the takeoff. But as he launched into the air, something went horribly wrong. His trajectory fell short of the landing ramp and he crashed into the buses below. The impact was devastating, and despite immediate medical attention, Palisbanian succumbed to his injuries on site. This tragedy highlights the immense risks involved in motorcycle stunts. Jumping a motorcycle over such a vast distance requires precision engineering, perfect ramp angles, and absolute control of speed and trajectory. Even the slightest miscalculation, a deviation in velocity, a misaligned ramp, or an unforeseen crosswind can lead to disaster. In Palisbanian's case, reports suggested that the ramp setup might not have been adequately calibrated, leading to his fatal miscalculation. Motorcycle stunts like Palisbanian's epitomize the thrill of defying physical limitations, but they also underscore the razor-thin margin for error. High-profile attempts often come with immense pressure, as performers not only risk their lives but also stake their reputations on success. Palisbanian's story is a sobering reminder of how ambition and inadequate safety measures can collide with tragic results. The depths of danger. Audrey Mestre was a trailblazer in the world of freediving, pushing the limits of human ability in the realm of underwater exploration.
I believe that for Audrey, she really was all about the ocean. She wanted to go with the animals. Her favorite thing was to dive with the animals, the sharks, the dolphins.
In 2002, off the coast of the Dominican Republic, she attempted a no-limits dive to 561 feet, 171 meters, a depth few dared to even imagine. Tragically, this ambitious dive became her last. Freediving in the no-limits category involves descending with the aid of a weighted sled and ascending with a buoyancy device. While the method minimizes effort, the physiological strain is immense. The human body is not designed to endure the crushing pressure of deep water, where every additional meter amplifies the risk of nitrogen narcosis, oxygen toxicity, and blackout. Mestre's dive, meticulously planned, was to be a defining moment in her career. However, the attempt unraveled due to a series of critical errors. The air tank meant to inflate her ascent balloon malfunctioned, leaving her stranded at depth. By the time rescue divers reached her, she'd been underwater far too long. Though she was brought to the surface, efforts to revive her failed. Mestre's death shed light on the inherent dangers of freediving and the razor-thin line between success and catastrophe in such endeavors. While freedivers train rigorously to expand their lung capacity and resist panic, deep dives involve factors beyond human control: equipment failures, unexpected physiological responses, and the unpredictable nature of the ocean itself. Mestre's attempt also raised ethical concerns, with critics pointing to lapses in safety protocols and the pressures of competitive freediving that might have compromised her well-being. Harville's last jump. Alex Harville, an American motorcycle stuntman, was no stranger to pushing boundaries. Known for his daring jumps, he was preparing to shatter the world record for the longest motorcycle jump, 351 feet. The attempt, planned in 2021 at the Moses Lake Air Show in Washington, was to be the pinnacle of his career. Yet during a routine practice jump just days before the event, tragedy struck. The setup seemed straightforward, a towering ramp designed to launch Harville into the air and toward a distant landing zone. As he accelerated toward the ramp, his bike roared and all eyes were on him. Harville soared into the sky, but his trajectory was slightly off. Instead of smoothly hitting the landing ramp, he collided with its edge. sending both rider and motorcycle tumbling. The impact was catastrophic, and despite being rushed to the hospital, Harville succumbed to his injuries shortly after. This tragic event underscores the extraordinary precision required for record-breaking stunts. For a jump of this magnitude, even minor deviations in speed, ramp angle, or wind conditions can lead to disaster. Achieving the perfect jump involves not only physical skill but also meticulous calculations and engineering. Harville's case illustrates how the margin for error in such feats is almost non-existent. Harville had trained extensively for this record attempt, with previous jumps providing a solid foundation. However, the inherent risks of high-speed stunts combined with the psychological and physical strain of perfect execution make such endeavors incredibly dangerous. His death sent shockwaves through the stunt community, sparking debates about safety protocols and whether pushing the limits of human capability is worth the cost. Doc Deep's final dive. Guy Garman, fondly nicknamed Doc Deep, was an experienced recreational scuba diver with an ambitious goal to set the record for the deepest recreational dive. In 2015, off the coast of St. Croix, he planned to descend to an astounding depth of 1,200 feet, 366 meters, a depth few dare to approach. Despite months of meticulous preparation, this dive would prove fatal. Recreational dives, especially at extreme depths, pose unique physiological and technical challenges. As divers descend, the water pressure increases dramatically, compressing the air they breathe and saturating their bodies with inert gases like nitrogen. At extreme depths, this can lead to nitrogen narcosis, a state akin to drunkenness, or even oxygen toxicity, both of which can impair judgment and motor function. Equipment failure, loss of buoyancy, and the time required for decompression stops further compound the risks. On the fateful dive, Garman descended as planned, but trouble emerged shortly after. According to reports, he failed to reach the planned depth and eventually lost contact with his support team. His body was later recovered, marking the end of a dive that was meant to cement his place in history. Garman's death sent ripples through the diving community, igniting discussions about the ethics of pushing human limits in underwater exploration. Critics questioned whether adequate safety protocols were in place and whether attempting such depths was a responsible endeavor, even for someone of Garman's skill level. Hair-raising stunts. Sailendra Nath Roy. Sailendra Nath Roy, an Indian stuntman, was known for his unconventional approach to breaking records. In 2013, he embarked on a daring attempt to traverse the Teesta River in West Bengal using his ponytail as the primary means of suspension. His goal was to cross a distance of 600 feet while attached to a zip line, an audacious stunt that would showcase both his physical endurance and mental fortitude. However, what began as a display of human ingenuity and grit ended in a heartbreaking tragedy. The stunt attracted a crowd of spectators eager to witness Roy's feat of strength and determination. With his ponytail securely fastened to the zip line, he began the crossing. Initially, the stunt seemed to go according to plan. However, midway through the journey, his hair became entangled in the pulley mechanism. Unable to move forward or free himself, Roy hung suspended above the rushing waters for over 25 minutes. Tragically, the stress and prolonged suspension led to a fatal heart attack before rescue efforts could reach him. Roy's death underscores the unpredictable dangers of using the human body in ways it was never designed to function. Hair, although resilient, is not meant to bear the weight of an adult body, let alone under such extreme conditions. While Roy had performed similar stunts before, the complexity of this particular attempt exposed the inherent risks of relying on unconventional techniques for record-breaking feats. The incident also highlights the importance of safety protocols in high-risk stunts. Despite his extensive preparations, Roy's setup lacked essential safety measures that might have saved his life. Harnesses or secondary safety lines, standard in professional stunts, were notably absent. Windborne misfortune. Butch Laswell. Butch Laswell, a celebrated American motorcycle stunt performer, was no stranger to death-defying leaps. In 1996, he attempted one of his most ambitious stunts yet, jumping over a pedestrian bridge in Mesquite, Nevada, in front of a live audience. Laswell had executed numerous high-risk jumps in his career, but this particular feat would tragically prove to be his last. The stunt involved launching his motorcycle from a ramp designed to send him soaring over the bridge and onto a landing ramp on the other side. As with most motorcycle jumps, precision was critical. Factors such as speed, angle, and trajectory were calculated meticulously. However, what Laswell and his team couldn't control was the weather. Crosswind swept through the area, creating unpredictable conditions. As Laswell took off, a sudden gust of wind pushed him off course, causing him to miss the landing ramp. He crashed violently onto the ground, suffering fatal injuries. Laswell's death illustrates the unpredictable variables that make extreme stunts so dangerous. While performers can prepare for technical and physical challenges, environmental factors like wind can introduce chaos into even the best-laid plans. In Laswell's case, the crosswind was a small but decisive force that turned a carefully planned jump into a fatal accident. This tragedy also raises questions about the balance between spectacle and safety in stunt performances. Despite the inherent risks, many stunts are conducted with minimal safety measures, partly to preserve the visual drama that captivates audiences. In Laswell's case, the lack of contingency measures for wind conditions proved fatal. Water speed tragedy. John Cobb. John Cobb was a British racing legend renowned for his relentless pursuit of speed. Having already set multiple land speed records, Cobb turned his focus to water in the 1950s, hoping to conquer the elusive water speed record. His weapon of choice was the Crusader, a jet-powered hydroplane specifically designed to shatter records on the surface of Loch Ness, Scotland. Tragically, his 1952 attempt ended in disaster, marking one of the most harrowing incidents in the history of speed racing. The Crusader was a marvel of engineering built to achieve speeds of over 200 miles per hour on water. Unlike land vehicles, high-speed watercraft face the unique challenge of hydrodynamic instability. At extreme speeds, even small disturbances in the water's surface can destabilize a vessel. Cobb was well aware of these risks, but his confidence in the Crusader's innovative design propelled him forward. On the fateful day, Cobb embarked on his record attempt under ideal weather conditions. Initially, the Crusader performed flawlessly, accelerating to breathtaking speeds. However, as Cobb approached the record-breaking mark, the hydroplane hit an unforeseen wake in the water. The sudden instability caused the vessel to lift off the surface and disintegrate upon impact. Cobb was killed instantly. His dreams of achieving water speed immortality dashed in an instant. Cobb's death underscores the immense challenges of controlling high-speed vessels on water. Unlike land or air, water introduces a dynamic and unpredictable element. Factors like wakes, waves, and surface tension can dramatically affect performance, leaving even the most skilled operators vulnerable. Despite meticulous planning, Cobb became a victim of the uncontrollable forces inherent to water speed racing. Scuba experiments. Maurice Fargues. Maurice Fargues, a member of Jacques Cousteau's pioneering underwater research group, was among the first to explore the depths of human capability with scuba technology. In 1947, he embarked on an experiment to determine how deep a diver could descend using the newly developed aqualung. This groundbreaking apparatus had revolutionized underwater exploration, but the limits of its use were still unknown. Tragically, Fargues' dive ended in his death, making him the first diver to perish using this technology. The experiment took place off the coast of the French Riviera, with Fargues descending into the depths while Cousteau and others monitored from the surface. The goal was to reach a record-breaking depth 120 meters, 393 feet, a feat that would test both the diver's physiology and the aqualung's design. Early in the dive, everything appeared to be going smoothly. Fargues descended steadily, communicating his progress via a tethered line. However, as he approached the target depth, communication suddenly ceased. The team on the surface pulled him up only to discover that he had drowned. It was later determined that Fargues had likely succumbed to nitrogen narcosis, a condition caused by the high partial pressure of nitrogen at depth, which impairs judgment and motor function. Unable to recognize his deteriorating state, Fargues may have panicked or failed to take necessary actions, leading to his tragic death. Fargues' demise highlighted the dangers of early scuba technology and the lack of understanding surrounding deep diving physiology. At the time, concepts like decompression sickness, oxygen toxicity, and gas narcosis were poorly understood, making every deep dive a perilous gamble. His death spurred further research into these phenomena, leading to the development of modern diving tables, mixed gas technologies, and safety protocols that have saved countless lives. Diving too deep. Hope Root. In 1953, Hope Root, a deep-sea diving enthusiast, ventured into the ocean off the coast of Miami Beach with a bold goal: to break the record for the deepest dive using an aqua lung. The record attempt, aimed at reaching a staggering 410 feet, would have been groundbreaking for the time. However, Root's dive turned into a chilling mystery as he disappeared beneath the waves, never to be seen again. Root's preparation reflected the spirit of exploration that characterized diving pioneers of the 1950s. The aqualung, though revolutionary, was still in its early stages, and the physiological effects of deep diving were not fully understood. Factors like nitrogen narcosis, oxygen toxicity, and decompression sickness were only beginning to be studied, leaving divers like Root to navigate these dangers with limited knowledge and equipment. During his record attempt, Root reportedly descended deeper than planned, surpassing 500 feet. The extreme depth pushed both human and equipment limits. The immense pressure likely overwhelmed the aqualung's capacity to supply breathable air, and the lack of sufficient decompression stops may have caused fatal complications. Despite search efforts, Root's body was never recovered, leaving only speculation about his final moments. Root's disappearance highlights the inherent dangers of exceeding the known boundaries of human capability and technology. At such depths, even minor miscalculations or equipment failures can lead to catastrophic outcomes. The physiological strain on the body, combined with the mental challenges of isolation and reduced oxygen, creates a lethal combination. Root's ambition, while inspiring, serves as a stark reminder of the risks involved in diving beyond safe limits. Fatal pair Forfar and Gunderson. In 1971, Archie Forfar and Ann Gunderson, two highly skilled divers, set out to break a world record for deep diving off Andros Island in the Bahamas. Their goal was to descend to an astonishing depth of 146 meters, 479 feet, a feat that would have placed them among the most accomplished divers of their time. Tragically, their record attempt ended in disaster, with both divers perishing during the dive. The dive began under controlled conditions, with a support team monitoring their progress from the surface. Forfar and Gunderson were experienced divers who had extensively prepared for the record attempt, practicing breathing techniques and acclimating to deep water conditions. However, as they descended, something went terribly wrong. Communication with the surface team abruptly ceased, and neither diver returned. The exact cause of their deaths remains uncertain, but several factors likely contributed. The depth they aimed to achieve posed significant risks, including nitrogen narcosis, which can impair judgment, and oxygen toxicity, which can cause convulsions. Additionally, equipment malfunctions, such as regulator failure or tank issues, could have played a role. The pressure at such depths, nearly 15 times that at the surface, also presented immense challenges for both the divers and their gear. Forfar and Gunderson's deaths profoundly impacted the diving community. Their colleagues and families were left grappling with the emotional toll of losing two passionate adventurers. The tragedy also prompted a re-evaluation of safety protocols for extreme dives, leading to stricter guidelines and the development of advanced equipment better suited for deep dives. Exploring the abyss. Sheck Exley. Sheck Exley, a legendary figure in the world of cave diving, was a pioneer whose exploits pushed the boundaries of human endurance and technical skill. With an impressive record of first descents and depth achievements, Exley was revered for his unmatched expertise. However, his relentless pursuit of exploration led to his untimely death in 1994 while attempting one of his most ambitious dives, a record-setting descent into Zacaton, a deep sinkhole in Mexico. Exley's dive into Zacaton was an attempt to reach its bottom, rumored to be over 1,000 feet deep, and break his previous depth record of 879 feet. As a technical diver, he meticulously planned for the mission using mixed-gas rebreathers and carrying multiple tanks to mitigate the risks of oxygen toxicity and nitrogen narcosis. Despite these preparations, the dive proved fatal. Exley was found at 879 feet, the same depth as his previous record, with evidence suggesting he succumbed to high-pressure nervous syndrome, HPNS, a condition that affects the nervous system at extreme depths and causes tremors, nausea, and impaired motor skills. Exley's death highlighted the immense risks of cave diving, a sport that combines the physical challenges of deep-sea diving with the psychological strain of navigating confined, often uncharted underwater caves. Cave divers face unique dangers, limited visibility, narrow passages, and the ever-present risk of running out of air or becoming disoriented. Exley, despite his experience, became a victim of these extreme conditions. His motivations, however, were clear. For Exley, cave diving was more than a sport. It was a form of exploration that offered a glimpse into the unknown. He was driven by curiosity, a desire to map uncharted territories, and a deep respect for the underwater world. His numerous achievements, including groundbreaking work in mixed-gas diving and decompression theory, have left an indelible mark on the diving community. The body recovery dive Dave Shaw. Dave Shaw, an Australian technical diver, embarked on one of the most ambitious and harrowing dives in history in 2005. Known for his expertise in deep water and cave diving, Shaw attempted to recover the body of Dion Dreyer, a diver who had perished a decade earlier at a depth of 886 feet in Bushman's Hole, a deep freshwater sinkhole in South Africa. The recovery mission, which also aimed to set a record for the deepest body retrieval, tragically ended in Shaw's death. Shaw meticulously prepared for the dive, employing a closed-circuit rebreather to manage the immense pressures and extended bottom time required for the mission. He had successfully located Dreyer's body during a previous dive, and on this attempt he planned to bring the remains to the surface for closure. Despite extensive planning and support, the dive was fraught with risks, extreme depth, equipment limitations, and the physiological challenges of operating under immense pressure. As Shaw descended to the body, complications arose. Dreyer's remains had become tangled in an underwater line, and the effort to free them consumed valuable time and oxygen reserves. The additional workload, combined with the depth, likely caused Shaw to succumb to carbon dioxide buildup, a known hazard with rebreathers. His lifeless body was later found entangled with Dreyer's still tethered to the line. Shaw's death sent shockwaves through the diving community, sparking discussions about the ethical and practical considerations of such missions. While his attempt to recover Dreyer's body was an act of compassion, it also highlighted the extreme dangers inherent in deep water recovery dives. Critics questioned whether the risks justified the effort, especially when the recovery involved depths that exceeded the limits of safe diving practices. Brigitte Lenoir's final ascent. Brigitte Lenoir, a skilled technical diver from Belgium, was an experienced explorer of the underwater world. Her career in diving showcased her dedication to pushing limits, especially as she prepared to set the record for the deepest dive ever made by a woman using a rebreather, a remarkable 230 meters. However, in 2010, during a training dive in Dahab, Egypt, her aspirations met an unforeseen and tragic end. Rebreathers, Lenoir's equipment of choice, allowed divers to recycle exhaled air, making them ideal for extended and deep dives. While revolutionary, these devices are highly complex and demand meticulous preparation to avoid risks such as oxygen toxicity and carbon dioxide buildup. Lenoir was no novice. She had undergone rigorous training to master the intricacies of rebreather systems and spent months acclimating to extreme depths in preparation for her record attempt. Her training dive at Dahab's Blue Hole, a world-famous dive site known for its depth and beauty, was meant to be another step toward her goal. Descending to 147 meters, she successfully completed the initial stages of her dive. However, as she began her ascent, complications arose. Reports indicated a malfunction in her rebreather system, which may have caused a rapid buildup of carbon dioxide. At such depths, the margin for error is razor thin, and even the smallest issue can spiral into a fatal chain of events. Lenoir's team, stationed at various checkpoints during her ascent, was unable to intervene in time. The dive, which should have ended in another milestone for her career, instead became her last. Her death highlighted the unforgiving nature of extreme diving, where even the best prepared and most experienced divers are vulnerable to the ocean's unpredictable challenges.